the only middle school in corrective action year one. In fact, my prior middle school is also in the same situation for the same subgroup. So it is a common problem that middle schools are facing. I'm not sure that I would be able to answer fully in terms of the curriculum. I know that we're doing exceptionally well in grade 10, and we're very mindful that we don't want to disrupt that success, because that, for a high-stakes test, year 10 that's our goal, and we're doing remarkably well, so we should not lose sight of that. And I know that with the Common Core curriculum coming, it's going to be a great opportunity to really look closely at what we're doing very well, but what we could change in terms of curriculum. And I also think that the progress monitoring, what that means is just, I don't want to say more frequent testing, but quick check-ins with students to find out before the gap gets too big, if they're confused about something, they haven't mastered a concept, before we move on to the next. And I think that should help quite a bit. So if we look at grade 8, again, the ELA is strong. There was a small decrease in advanced, but an increase in proficient, which I think more than washes out. A decrease in the needs improvement, and the warning stayed about the same. The ELA scores, as I said before, are very strong. In mathematics, there was a small dip in the advanced, but the proficient went up. The needs improvement went up just a tiny bit, and the warning actually went down, which is good. So, overall, I really do think it's a matter of getting a handful of kids out of warning and into needs improvement, and out of needs improvement and into proficient.
And that would solve the problem?
I can't say for sure that would solve the problem, but it would be certainly heading in the right direction. If we can really focus in our intervention with our Title I services, where we're giving tutoring during the day and tutoring after school for math and ELA, and we're targeting these students, and those individual student success plans are really individualizing the service that they're getting to get them over the heap. So
we've been warned not to compare year to year, but when I look at this, and I see in 08 we were probably 45%, 40% in advance, and then we went down, and then now we're below 25%. And it has to make me think that there's got to be something with the test or the curriculum, not our specific curriculum, but the state curriculum, because I just don't see how we could have that big of a drop. You're going to have exceptional classes, I guess, in some years. You just happen to have a real lot of bright kids, but that's going to balance out.
The interesting thing, Mel, will be to see how this group that you're talking about now, the 2011
Grade
group,
8.
does in grade 10.
Right.
I mean, how do they,
Yeah.
And I'm sure they'll do very, very well.
Yeah.
We are also, and I'll get to in a few minutes, going to create a school data team dedicated to really looking at the data and dissecting it. Not everyone is equally skilled at looking at numbers and crunching different ways to manipulate the data, but we're going to get together a data team, give them a little bit of training, and ask them to help us with some of the data that the state gives us.
That's one of our goals, is to use the data that we have.
To help get more data to, look at more data, and that's great that you're doing that. That'll help us too.
We're doing it across the district, and
Yeah.
it's going to be very helpful.
Can you expand on the tutoring during the school day and after school?
Currently, because of our Title I funding, no, it's not required.
Okay.
Because of our Title I funding, we are able to pay a tutor to come in and tutor kids. Currently for math, she's tutoring 4 hours a day, so 20 hours a week. She does some during the school day when kids have some sort of flexibility in their schedule, not during a content class, but perhaps during a general arts class, or should I say perhaps a study skills class. We have invited all students in low needs improvement and warning to attend these sessions. It is optional at this point.
Are you getting a good turnout?
Absolutely. Yes, we are. And we're also offering that in ELA after school. That's not during the day. ELA is 1 hour after school for 4 days.
Right. And that would be different from a teacher offering after-school help also?
It's different. It's targeted. It's individual, as individual as we can make it, targeted on their areas of weakness.
That's good.
And just to continue with the grade 8, there was on page 23.
Science.
Yeah, a slight decrease in the advanced category in grade 8 science and technology. Not really, very unnoticeable. An increase in the proficient, and the needs improvement stayed flat, and the warning went down a little bit. So we're making strides in our science and technology. We are going to, I hope, expand the robotics program next year to offer it also to grade 7, maybe grade 8. We have to see with funding. The robotics program is very expensive to buy the actual robots. Kathy Dashow is willing and has shown interest in offering it to other grades, and I think the children would be very excited to be able to have robotics in other years.
On that robotics thing, and it's a different kind of robotics, a different level, we have a company in North Reading called Kiva Systems. Have we involved them?
Yeah, we've been communicating back and forth. Kathy Dashow is pretty close to taking her robotics kids over for a field trip.
That would be
to
awesome.
go over and see the workings of the company.
I was wondering if they would, I think they're doing pretty well. They're winning a lot of contracts, and maybe they could provide a little community support for our robotics program. They might be interested because obviously they're one of those companies that struggles to find qualified workers to work at their real high-level technology jobs, and the more kids that they can get into this stuff. So, but that's good that she's already working.
It's a great idea, and actually, Kathy just started a new rotation of 6th graders a few weeks ago. So perhaps when they have to design and build the robots. She's taken them apart from the previous class. So perhaps when they're done in I think probably 3 weeks, we can invite them in to see them.
The thing is, the interesting is the stuff Kiva does. It's not like the Sony robot that goes to the door and answers and gets the mail. They basically help. They work in warehouses and pick all the products off the shelves, and it's stuff that you wouldn't think robots could do. And they don't look like the Jetson robot. They look like
That's what my daughter does at Demoulas. So.
Oh, is that a job? We don't want to take a job. Oh, I'm sorry.
All right.
So then with the actual goals, I didn't change too much. The goals that Mr. Fauché made were very appropriate, and you approved them. I changed just a few things. On page 25, under goal statement 2, the mission statement that Mr. Fauché and the school council worked on is really great, and I'm grateful that work has been done, because that's hours and hours of work to develop a mission statement. What I would like to see happen is the second bullet under goal number 2 on page 25 is just to ensure that individual teacher goals and school-wide goals align with the mission. So as teachers develop their goals in year 1 of their growth plan, I want to maintain a focus on those goals being aligned with the school mission, and that our school improvement plan also be aligned with that mission. And it is already displayed in all of the classrooms and in the hallways. And then on page 27, under goal statement 2, on the right-hand column, at the bottom, I talk about use protocols to look at student work together by teams. I'm a huge fan of protocols. You may not be familiar with them, but they are tools to have structured conversations about student work. And I think that teachers benefit tremendously from looking at student work together, so they may take a team meeting, a common planning time, and each bring a work sample from one of the at-risk students that we were just mentioning, and look at how a student presents, not just in mathematics where they struggle, but also how they present in ELA, how they present in science, how they present in social studies, and get a whole picture of the student's strengths and weaknesses. And there are tools that help you have a really structured, focused conversation to ensure that you can get that done in the 45 minutes of the common planning time. So I want to incorporate the use of protocols. In goal statement 3, over on the right-hand column, I absolutely want to eliminate study halls next year, and I will do everything that I can with your
Good.
help to see that
Anticipated
happens.
my question.
Good.
Where do we stand right now on those for each grade level?
Grade 6, students have study halls, and help me here, 3 times in a 6-day cycle.
Yes.
In grade 7, 3 times in a 6-day cycle. In grade 8, they're on different quarters, not every quarter, but depending on the quarter, some students have study halls more than 3 times in a 6-day
Cool.
cycle. And that's because of there are fewer general arts electives offered to grade 8. Adding in robotics next year would help.
And is
certainly.
that the solution, Kathy, just providing another
Related arts.
course or related art, general arts course to fill those?
Well, and the other thing that would
timeframes?
help tremendously, which I would absolutely like to see and is built for in the new building is full-time grade 7 foreign language.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
That-
so would we.
That would
think all of us would.
eliminate study halls in grade 7.
Yeah.
Isn't part of it too that, with the collaboration time required for the teachers, would we be able to eliminate all the study halls? Because don't teachers also need planning and collaboration time?
Teachers need a prep time and ideally common planning time at a minimum 3 times in a 6-day cycle, but that can be done without having study halls.
You could do that with some of the general arts courses, right? And move
Yes.
so your teams are free up, well, yeah.
Well, because we used to have that,
We had that World
cultures
Foods
course,
Cultures
World
course
Cultures
there, yeah.
course, and
It was more or less a
dropped
home
it.
ec type
Yeah.
course that allowed, for planning time, I
Right.
think, really, yeah.
Yeah.
I think we would be thinking more along the lines of the science and technology
Right.
I agree.
classes.
Right.
And then the last thing that I changed is on page 28 with the superintendent's suggestion, I added in the school data team that I talked about earlier, to use some of the people on my leadership team and some of the other teacher leaders who have expressed interest in looking at the data to really identify current grade level and content level data sources that we're using locally, internally in the building. What are we doing to assess students and find out where they are? Because obviously the MCAS is only one source, and we get that data so late, and the students have already moved on. So those are the changes that I made to the plan, and it was already a fantastic plan. So I appreciate Mr. Maloney and Mr. Fauché and the school council last year for doing a lot of the work.
Any questions from the committee for,
Is there a
Mr.
middle
O'Connell.
school ranking? Did we rank at some level with the middle school on the MCAS scores?
Each grade level and each content
It did.
area are ranked by the state.
And is there just a general goal to improve that by a few percentage points? Are we taking, baby steps? Are we looking at it as a whole?
I guess I'm less concerned about our ranking. I'm less concerned currently about our ranking with other towns. I'm more concerned personally about the students in the warning and low needs improvement. I think if we move them up, our
The
ranking is going to
rankings will
go up.
up.
Right, right.
Yeah.
But is there a goal on how we're gonna move, are we taking a small percentage and saying we're gonna try to move up from needs improvement by 5% next year? I mean, where does that fall into this whole thing? Are
I
we
didn't-
taking it as a
yeah,
whole picture?
I didn't quantify
Quantify it, yeah.
any percentages of what I would like to see.
Sure.
I would absolutely like to see the warning category go down and the
Yeah,
needs
yeah.
improvement category go down.
I'm
but
trying to
I didn't
quantify, it's kind of arbitrary, isn't it, to try to just say
Well, I think it's
5%?
nice to set a goal
yeah.
as a team and say, listen, we're going to move 5% of the needs improvement to that and see if you can meet that or not. And if you get 10, that's great. If you don't get, I don't know. It's-
Yeah, I think the only thing is you have to be cautious with those goals and have to be clear that they're so dependent on human beings and the
Sure,
kinds of
sure.
kids that, but setting a goal and saying, we'd like to increase at a minimum 5%, and as you say, if we do, I mean, I don't think that, I think it's difficult, but I don't think it's harmful.
Overall, the goal is to move those kids up
Right.
to the next category.
Yeah.
As many as possible.
I have one other question, and it's not related to MCAS. We're now only offering Spanish at the middle school, correct?
We also offer French.
We still do offer French. Okay, because I thought, is there a smaller number of students French, right?
They're given the option in grade 6, at the end of grade 6, what they would like to take. And in almost all middle schools that I know of, there are more children who choose Spanish and fewer children who choose French, for whatever reason.
I think the language thing is really interesting because we tried German and we had it for a year or two at the high school, and then there wasn't enough interest to maintain it.
I'm surprised Italian isn't one of the languages.
And you know, the whole thing with Chinese and looking
Yeah.
at that, and I think we really need to, that's another statewide thing too, though. We need to place a little more emphasis on that. Some of those world languages that, okay, thanks.
We need to take a vote. to
Yes,
accept.
I just want to see if there were any more comments, or you had anything to add, Kathy?
No, I think Kathy did exactly what I had requested of her. We've had a chance to collaborate on this, but she already came to the table with lots of ideas, and I think that she has fulfilled the spirit of modifying the school improvement plan to set forward actions that will lead us out of corrective action.
Okay, I'm going to ask for a motion then to approve the revised middle school improvement plan.
I move.
Motion by Cliff, do we have a second? Okay, second by Mel. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries by a vote of 4-0. Thank you very much, Kathy. That was
Thank you.
great. Good work. And I think next on the agenda is the approval of the eighth grade Washington DC trip.